It's Roberta with Quilt Crafters Corner. I'm going to do another block for you today, and this block is called Borrow and Lend. And this pattern comes from Quilters Cash. They're free for you to print and use. So let's take a look at this block. The first thing I have is I have the block made here for you to see so that you can see what it's going to look like. And I have my pieces already cut out, so that there's everything here is just ready to be cut into the squares or the rectangles in order to put this block together. So this block has, as you can see, it's got a 2.5-inch strip. Then it has these half square triangles on each corner, and then a 2.5-inch square in the center. And then once you've made the block, you just rotate them so that they make the continuous pattern. So let's take a look at this, and let's start with cutting our rectangles and our half square triangles. So the first thing is these are 2.5-inch strips, and these are going to make the long rectangle here. So I have two of each, two for each color. So those are already ready to go. So now let's look at this. These are 2.5-inch squares, and I will just cut this into 2.5-inch blocks. All right, so I have 8 of these. I need 2 for each block, and there's 4 blocks in this. So there's 8 of them, and those are ready to be put together. So there's my, for each one. Now, let's talk about the 3-inch strips. Now, these are to make the half square triangles here, and in order for this to finish at 2.5 inches, you need to go a 1/2 inch bigger so that you have room to trim. So all I'm going to do with these is I'm going to trim them into 3-inch blocks, and then that way I have these 3-inch blocks that they will go with. Okay, there are my 3-inch blocks. All right, I have my 3-inch blocks together. I've got the 2 different fabrics, good sides together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line from the point to the point on the diagonal. And this is going to give me the line that I will sew off of. So now what I'll do is I'll take this to the sewing machine and I will sew a scant 1/4 inch on this side and a scant 1/4 inch on this side. So let me finish marking these. All right, that's my last one. Okay, so I have 4 of each, 4 of the dark and 4 of the light. So now I'm going to take these over to my machine and I'm going to sew my scant 1/4 inch on each side of the line that I have drawn. So let me go do that and I'll be right back. All right, I have now sewn a scant 1/4 inch on each side of my diagonal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these apart. And it's just right on that line that I originally marked with my air erase pen, and I just cut them in half. Okay, now I'm going to take these over to the iron and I will press them so that the seam goes to the dark side of the darker fabric, and I'll just press them open like that. Okay, now that I have pressed my seam to the darker side on the half square triangle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these up on the diagonal. So let me show you how to do that. So as you can see, I have my half square triangle with my diagonal. I take my 45-degree angle and I put it right there on it just to make sure that I've got a nice square half square triangle, and I just trim. And the other reason why I like doing them just a little bigger is so that I know that I am going to be trimming, I'm going to be squaring to the seam, but I'm also going to get rid of these little points. because those just get in the way when you're putting these together. So let me finish squaring up my half square triangles. All right, I have finished squaring up my half square triangles, so now I have those ready to be laid out. So let's lay this block out and see how it takes shape. So I will have two blocks made with and then two of these in the middle, just like that. And I will do the same for this one. And that one. Okay, those are, now I need to go sew these strips together here, the little 2.5 inch squares. So I will sew all those together, and then let me lay out this one, these two, and the same thing here. right, I have my 2.5 inch squares and 2.5 inch half square triangles all sewn together in strips, and so now I just need to attach them to my center 2.5 by 6.5 rectangle. So I will take these to the machine and I will sew these all together, and I will have 4 blocks then. Okay, I've sewn my first side on to my rectangle, and just a quick tip, you want to sew right through where it makes a cross there, and then that way you know when you open this up you haven't lost your points. You've got your points coming right to the corner there, and it's a nice clean corner for you. So make sure that when you sew it from this side so that you can see that little cross for you to sew through. And here's a really good, or a better, see, you're just going to want to sew right through there, right above that one, and right above that one. So always sew with this face up so that you can see where to sew, and sew your scant 1/4 inch seam through there. The other thing is make sure that your points are going in towards your seam. That way you know you've got your piece laid on correctly. So let me finish sewing the rest of these on. Okay, and there are the 4 blocks that make up the 1 block. And as you can see, you can turn these, whichever way you want. If you wanted it to go this way and that way, you could do that. It's just entirely up to you. So this is the block, and what I'll do is I'll sew these together and it'll make a complete block like this one. And this is called Borrow and Lend. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I'd love to hear your comments about this block. I'd love to see your blocks when you make them. So share with me. I'd love to see pictures, and I will see you again next time